order the board meeting here tonight on October the 11th, 2022. We're in the Central Office Boardroom. It is 5 p.m. Thank you for attending and being part of this community event. As always, we will start with roll call. Mr. McAllister? Here. Mrs. McLeod?
Here.
Mrs. Gordon?
Here.
Mr. Summers?
Here.
Mr. Brewer?
Here.
Mrs. Smith?
Here.
And I am here. If you would stand, rise for a moment of silence, followed by the prayer, and then the Pledge of Allegiance. Bow our heads. Father, you have gifted us with another day. May we pay you back in full. We love you, we praise you, we thank you. Amen.
First flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda is the consent agenda. This will be to approve the minutes from the September 1st, 2022 regular meeting, as well as the September 27th special called meeting.
And Mr. Chair, if I could interrupt, please, if we could add our First National Bank employee recognition to our agenda, please, we would greatly appreciate that.
I'd entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda along with the addition of the First National Bank employee recognition.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Great. Moving into new business, Mr. Patrick Gilbert is here, and we'll recognize the employees for us here in the system.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Dr. Beard, Board. First National Bank is glad to recognize these teachers. I hope everybody had a good fall break. We certainly missed you, but I know it looks like we've got a full house here today. But the teachers that are recognized, along with the support staff, and we'll start with the support staff member today, is Tara Norwood. Tara, all right, congratulations. Thank you. Then we'll go pre-K through 5th grade, and that's Dustin Rose. Okay, and 6th through 12th, Meredith Craig. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Dr. Beard.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you to you, Mr. Gilbert, First National Bank, for recognizing these great people in our community and our school system. Thank you. Thank you all again for your work. Next item under new business is E-rate approval. This is the upgrade from the 1 gigabit switch to the 10 gigabit. This is for our internal broadband service. Mr. McCree spoke to us on this at the work session. I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself there. We're actually on student advisory board. Mary, why don't you stop me there?
You know, I was like, okay.
Just go right back. So we'll back up to the actual.
I'm kind of invisible,
To the
it's
actual,
fine.
no, you're not. Student advisory board members, Mary's been quarterbacking this for us, looking at putting this together. And this is a working document. I think that's what some of us want to keep, and we're keeping it on the agenda to work through it. But we were emailed again, a working document of requirements, responsibilities, and trying to continue to work through this and get some feedback and good formation of this program. Is there anything you want to lead on?
Yeah, we can absolutely, I left the second bullet point, kind of at a blank with GPA. We don't have to do GPA at all. It can be, as long as their grades are within, good standing, we don't have to put a parameter on that if we choose not to. since people do take different paths, not everyone's college, they may be CTE, you know, as long as they are willing and can bring something to the table and they are not within any type of academic discipline or attendance discipline, I think those are our two biggest, you know, issues. I did also want to put in there that administration also has final approval for the, you know, for the student advisory panels. So, you know, they can look at the whole picture to see what, you know, what group is in there and make sure everyone is represented within the system fairly and appropriately. So I felt that was a very important thing to leave in there.
We need to make sure that we have seeking some diversity in this, as well. And like I said, everybody needs to be represented. And this is something that maybe these kids down the road will and seek to find it in themselves to go that extra step and run for office one of these days and step out of the box.
Not be so afraid of it,
Yeah.
you know, for sure. And as part of our job is to promote, and I felt that was important to put in the requirements as well, because if we are required, their requirements should be the same.
Would we want to say then in that regard that maybe take the bullet points 2 and 3 as requirements and say that must be in good standing with grades and attendance, maybe not minimize or put that. And then at the same time, with you know, diversity economically, you know, socially, the whole 9 yards of what we see in our school system, and then also with children who are already elevated in certain things. I mean, we talked about making sure that we keep that door open. Do we want to make some kind of requirement, so much as to say it has to be someone who isn't already holding some other office, or does that dwindle it down too much? Or because we've seen this,
Sure.
and we can all remember our days in school where it's kind of, you got that same group doing it and doing a lot of those different social and
Well, I think we have some accountability there. We have some, I don't think we should make people choose what they participate in, as long as they are serving and completing those duties as expected of them. I think that's the key. Now, since we are talking about having a senior and a junior, if that senior is not holding up their end of the bargain, then that junior can take over. And there can be a lesson of accountability. If you're not doing the job that you were elected to do, that's a privilege, and it can be removed.
Participation in the school
Yes.
on some level, I think should be something that should be part of it. It's somebody who is, again, stepping out of the box regardless of what, if they've already got an office somewhere, but they need to, it could be anything, as long as they're involved in something that gives them an outlook on being able to do this.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I did not want to make their responsibilities so cumbersome that no one would want to do it. No one would volunteer to sign up. But we can modify this as we go as well. You know, it's our first year, so it would be a work in progress.
And do we have an idea on how these students are nominated? Or I know at one point we talked about having kind of an election with it, like you do with student council.
Sure. I think it is important to have an election, and, you know, we do have an opportunity here, Dr. Beard had brought up, to incorporate that in a government class. So you really have, you know, full circle in the classroom, as well as, you know, students can put their name in and run for it. Say, this, I'm interested in this, and seek votes and treat it like an election would.
Okay.
And I think it is important to even have an election on our first year. I mean, I think that, you know, they deserve to be elected by their peers.
And doing the election, you know, wherever school, they're knowing that those requirements, these is what
Yes.
the requirements, if you're going to be nominated, you have to fall in these
Yes, and there's nothing wrong with even allowing them to come to a work session. If this is something you're interested in, come to a work session, kind of see what it's about, ask us questions if you want to, and go from there.
Well, like, we have to go out and get, signatures, to be nominated, to fulfill that criteria. I wonder if we should be, something along those lines again, because part of it is to kind of model the election process.
Or we could even do a teacher sign off, have a teacher sign off as well. You have to have someone vouch for you, for
So
your
X number
commitment.
of student signatures on your petition.
And an educator.
and
I
then
like
an
the
educator.
student signature thing.
Mhm.
As far as attending the meetings, it's just the junior and the senior here.
Yes.
But the panel is gonna be,
At the schools, they'll meet whatever they decide to meet, if it's once a month or.
is there only one from each grade? Is that what you're saying there?
There'd
Or is
be
it several?
That we can play with.
Okay.
We've got some wiggle room there. Now, I know the 8th grade representatives, at Richland, that's not gonna be an issue, but it will be for Elkton and Minor Hill, so we'll have to play with that a little bit. We still have some work to do on that. But we can set up anything we want. If you want 2 representatives from each grade, you can do that, or 1. To reiterate, the goal of that is to other districts that I had spoken to that have this already in place, use that time to meet with the director of schools to go over, any questions that is brought by that student advisory panel, to say, hey, why can't we do X, Y, Z? And the director, they called it Mythbusters, because they say we have to do it this way because of this, and it's educating the whole system. It's educating everyone, so that way they can take it back to their peers and say, oh, we can't do this because it's state law. We have to do it this way.
And that panel will meet monthly, and almost it would be their work session
Yes.
version of what we do, and they would do that on their
Yes.
own. And then the representatives for the actual board meeting would be here.
Mhm. And they can work out any details, and then whatever would be something that would need to be addressed by the school board could come up through that channel. That person could talk to Dr. Beard and you and add that to any agenda. It could be addressed at that point.
All right, any other brainstorming or any other stuff to put on here? I think this is coming together. Maybe we can hash out some real big details too at the work session,
Sure.
which is next week, right?
It's 20th.
Golly, It will be the 20th of October.
It's flying by.
All right, well, if you guys are good with this, I've got some good notes here, and we'll keep it going and see if we can't get closer to a final draft at the work session. All right, now to E-rate approval, the upgrade of the 1 gigabit switch to the 10 gigabit. Does anybody have any questions or anything for Gary? We did get his info on that at the work session.
Sorry, that was loud.
Now I entertain a motion to approve the E-rate for this year.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion's been made, seconded. Any additional discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Good. Item C, under new business, the video platform on the practice field for football at GCHS. Principal Thomas spoke with us about this at the work session. This will be a structure which requires our approval.
Need a motion.
We do.
Motion to approve.
So.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Item D, along with, for the football field and for the team and for games, the camera and the replay equipment. Again, Principal Thomas spoke with us about that. This did hit in an amount that would require our approval. Dollars are in hand and are funds from football. Entertain a motion to approve this equipment.
Make a motion. I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Item E, quarterly budget review and revisions for CTE. Mr. Hammond went over some of this with us. With auditing purposes, money purposes, we have to do this quarterly now. And we will have much more coming up.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Item F, under new business, field trip for Richland and Johnson County High School for FFA, October 25th through the 28th.
So moved.
Second.
Get on that FFA train there. You know I'm going.
Motion's been made and seconded to get this group of great kids to Indianapolis, Indiana. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. New business, item G, Safe Schools Grant, obviously per policy, or as you hear me say, we have to approve accepting money. It's in the amount of $72,470.
And this is how we pay for our 2 SROs that are paid for by the school system. The others are paid for by our county. So,
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any additional discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. No old business at this time. Moving on to policies for first reading. Policy 4.210, credit recovery. We had to adjust this because of the new uniform grading scale.
has to be 60% with the new uniform grading scale rather than 70s. That was the only change in that policy.
Entertain a motion to approve policy 4.210, credit recovery.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Policy 4.603, promotion and retention. Dr. Beard's going to talk on this a little bit as we talk today. I know we wanted to hopefully get a little bit more coming back from legislation or just what might be here, because this would need this policy needs to include verbiage and whatnot that would talk about the third grade retention law. And as we know, we're all trying to push back on that. And Dr. Beard.
I know at the work session, I said I had the conference coming up, but we were not afforded very much more information by the State Department. I did email our resolution that you all passed in regard to this to it's Chairman Mark White, send it to Mr. Lundberg, Dr. Hensley, and Representative Clay Doggett, And Chairman White did respond to me that there would be work done on this. He can't say what because they haven't gone into assembly yet. But he did say there would be work done on this policy. And I feel like maybe we need to kind of work on this a little bit more, maybe table this, might be a good recommendation. I know that we did have a little redundancy in what we were looking at it, but the appeals is unclear because what's in the remediation toolkit put out by the state and what this policy, there's a little bit of discrepancy in, and I think we really need to see what's going to happen and change in this before we actually put something in policy. So I would just kind of recommend that maybe we do some further study on this before we look at passing the policy.
If someone were to say we had a timeline, would it be that February 1st
And that
timeline to
is
have this
current.
policy in place?
That is currently in our policy, that February 1st is the deadline for notify, or not really a deadline, but it's a goal for when we want to notify our parents of some retention possibilities. And that currently is in policy. And I'm not saying postpone this until the General Assembly. We just need to get some further direction, I think, from TSBA or someone as far as this policy actually goes, for as far as the appeals go and how that's going to actually work. As they said, a teacher cannot recommend retaking of a test for a student. It has to come from a parent. And I think we just need to be cautious how that's worded. And like I said, the toolkit came out after TSBA sent the model policy. So I think that's just something we want to revisit with asking Ben and Jennifer and Neil to make sure this is what we need to be our model policy.
Might the wishes of the board be to table this policy until we get further instruction?
Move to table.
All right. Motion's been made. Is there a second? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Policies for second reading, policy 4.212, the virtual education program. This would include, this is just going into the model policy with new language, including homebound, quarantine, weather, alternative school, those highlights. Entertain a motion to approve that policy.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Policy 4.401, textbook selection, distribution, and care. This policy was being changed to make it an administrative procedure and to help to appreciate the value of textbooks replacement. Entertain a motion to approve this as it's been discussed in work sessions and policies for first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any additional discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Policy 6.204, attendance of non-resident students. This policy changed to include any employee, not just teachers. And then also forming it into more of an administrative procedure to avoid the redundancy. And we pulled the date from it, if I remember.
Yes.
Entertain a motion to approve policy 6.204, attendance of non-resident students.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Policy 6.312, use of personal communication electronic devices, public. Chapter 707, which came through legislation, does allow for the confiscation of electronic devices and cell phones. This helps put it in our policy, and again, we keep referring to code of conduct, so we know we're talking about this on more than one occasion.
Anything in there about some of these students are carrying 2 phones on, and they're carrying 2 phones for a reason. There ought to be something that we have in there about being caught with 2 and address that.
Will that be something we can look at in the work session for the code of conduct
Yeah.
portion of it? I'd entertain a motion to approve 6.312, the use of personal communication and electronic devices, to include the language for confiscation, as we've discussed in the work session and first reading.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Policy 6.318, admission of suspended or expelled students. There was some language in line 9 that we needed to remove.
Right. We no longer have to notify the Commissioner of Education in a situation like this.
Ms. Schwinn, does it want to, all right?
Guess not.
I'd entertain a motion to approve 6.318.
I'll second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, moving along, we're into board comments. Mr. McAllister,
I always start with me.
it's number 1. You're number 1. Number 1.
Yeah, I had 2 quick things. I'll make it brief. Next Friday, the 21st, Elton School will be having their fall festival from 5 to 8. So I'd just like to invite everybody, if you don't have anything to do, come down to Elton and support us in that. And secondly, we talk a lot about our teachers and the great work that they do, but I just want to take a second to thank all the other folks in our school system that play a key role in the overall success and day-to-day operations, and this is in no order of significance. I was thinking about our central office staff, our maintenance folks that keep the lights on, our bus garage people and drivers, our custodians that keep our schools clean, our cafeteria folks that prepare our meals, and our principals and their support staff. Thank you for what you do.
Ms. McLeod?
All right. This month's highlight, since I'm going to a sports banquet after this, is going to be our coaches, and not just coaches, but any of our staff that is in charge of specialty groups or like beta clubs, like any type of clubs at our school as well. You know, there are so many lessons that we teach our children outside of just this classroom, and there's so much. I know this hits home for you two for sure. The patience it takes, because you know it's a lot of hard work that goes into teaching our children work ethic and kindness, and continuing to strive for their very best, and how to deal with it when we fall short of the mark that we plan. And I think that shapes our character. It shapes who we are and how we deal with things for our whole life. And it takes a special person to do that. And I really want to highlight and thank those folks for having patience with our babies and letting them make their memories, and not so super focused on maybe the end goal, but kind of sometimes taking a step back and seeing their personal growth when it doesn't end up the outcome that we necessarily wanted. So thank you for all of your hard work and helping our babies really shape their whole character. You're up, sister.
I'm supposed to follow that?
Oh, please. I'm always positivity. I'm sorry. I always have a superstar to highlight. That's my jam.
No, I'm still just filling this out, so definitely thank you to all of y'all that are here tonight. There's a lot of people that, y'all just sit here through this whole meeting while we just go through stuff, and I'm glad y'all came and support the system. Thank you for your work, and thank you for what you do. Thanks for taking care of our kids.
I agree with everything they've said, and having been a teacher, I say thank you. I will always remember those wonderful memories of being a teacher. Of course, there were some that I still laugh about that now, but I had great support from the staff, and my heart goes out to all of you that are still doing it, as we said, love our babies, because it takes a special person to want to be a teacher instead of how much they make. Okay. But it's a very special person to do what you do. And like Mr. McAllister said, not just the teachers, but it takes a whole village of people to make our school system what it is. And that's everybody. So I say thank you, and you are appreciated, always. I mean, one of them. But don't ask me to come serve. No, I really would.
She's
do
put
it.
in
It's
some
an
hard.
emergency.
Well played, Will.
2 broke legs, a broke arm.
I don't wanna follow you or not.
And we have to, Richard, I know, we really have to. We wish.
Well, it's great to be up here and, try to do all we can to help our teachers and students and staff and everybody that takes to run the school system. And, all those spokes in the wheel, you put a name on them, you've got staff and you've got central office, like I said over, and it's just, every one of those spokes is, really important to make that wheel keep going. And, one of them gets cracked or broken, it's, the job of everybody else to make sure that spoke is put back together and make sure we can continue to roll, especially in this day and time when there's so many school systems that are tripping over their own feet. Sometimes you see in the media, but we're blessed that we haven't had to deal with all that kind of mess. And as far as I'm concerned, I know y'all are the same mindset. We're not gonna have to. I mean, we're gonna take any threat to our school system seriously, and we're gonna make sure that it's aimed at in the right direction. Thanks again to everybody that puts this school system that makes it that wheel, and keep up the good work. It's fantastic y'all do this for the amount of money that you make and or don't make. And so being a teacher myself, you look at your check when at the end of the month and you're going, there's a whole lot of people making money off my check, making almost as much as I am, so from the government to whoever else. But we're gonna keep pitching, trying to get teachers all the money that everybody else, the amount of money they deserve. And hopefully our new commission will help us do that and that sort of thing, so we'll be able to help them out.
To me. Ms. Willow, proud you beat me to the meeting tonight.
You were actually here first the other time.
She gonna run you down the parking lot.
No, I'd just like to thank you, each one of y'all's dedication to the jobs that y'all have, the what you do, for our children. And I know it's a struggle sometimes, but thank you all for what you do. And I'd like to welcome our two new commissioners, Mr. Woodard and Mr. Jones, for attending here and getting the insight. And thank y'all. And just thank everybody.
I'm gonna thank you guys, 'cause we know there's, plenty of things going out to our teachers and whatnot, but it's great to be part of a board that when I get a text or a question or a call, that it's all about productivity and all about, making this piece of paper matter and be something. So, it's wonderful to, and I want the public to know that too, that this is a board of folks who their agenda is the agenda of the school system and the educators and the folks that are underpaid to be there. So thank you guys, and as always, keep the questions and the concerns going. It's good. Work session, we'll be right back at this, but it'll be next Thursday, October 20th, and then board meeting will follow, we'll get a week off on that one. Board meeting November the 3rd, and then our annual conference will be at Opryland Resort, Gaylord, November 10th through 13th. So, and that'll be here before we know it. Do you have anything?
I just wanted to recognize Mr. Thomas. I know he's in the back this afternoon, and we won't be in Murfreesboro with him Friday night, but he is going to be inducted into the Middle Tennessee State University Hall of Fame. Quite an accomplishment, so.
Congrats, for sure. Anything else?
That's all.
Motion to adjourn. Anybody?
Yeah.